Hey, 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 hey. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Gonna let everybody get in. I know there's gonna be quite a few people on here today. A lot of weather to talk about. So we're gonna do what we normally do. I'm gonna wait a couple minutes, let everybody get on, and then we'll start explaining. I got quite a few things that we can chat about. One is gonna be the threat to the Florida citrus crop with this incredibly cold blast of air. Two is going to be just that, the incredible cold shot of air heading this way. And then three is going to be the East Coast snow threat. And I have to tell you, it's one of the better signals, one of the better storm signals that I'm seeing. I mean, geez, I've been forecasting for 24 years. I'm going to say this is probably one of the better threats that I've seen in the last at least five. Because we've kind of been stuck in all these La Nina and El Nino winters, and they really put it. If you're a snow lover and you love the cold, they really put a damper on winter type weather. They tend to bring mild conditions to the east, and a lot of times you get cutters and rain. And just if you're a snow lover, La Nina and El Nino is just a mess. And up to this point, we're not seeing either. And so this is sort of a normal winter that we're seeing, and normal winters tend to bring snow on the East Coast, and we might see that. Looks like we're up to about 450. Just going to let this let this fill in a little bit more. Also, what I want to do here, because there's going to be what I'm trying to do with this one in particular, this dungeon segment. I'm seeing just ridiculousness on the web right now, on Twitter, on Facebook, and you can tell right away who the real like the seasoned meteorologists are and who the weather enthusiasts are, just by the things they post. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain a little bit about how you can tell. I don't want to say. I mean, look, they're trying to make money. I can't say anything. But I mean, who doesn't want to make money, right? I can't say anything against that. But there's ways you forecast, and the people that go to college and they have a degree, and you learn how to forecast, and you learn how to use these models. And some of these people that are just on here on social media, they're just throwing these apocalyptic snowfall maps out there, and you, the viewer, you don't know, right? You see it and you're like, oh my gosh, we got 3 feet of snow coming, and it's just like, no, it's not going to happen. So I'm just going to explain how you can identify what is a deterministic individual run model versus what the ensemble is. And the ensemble is pretty much what you want to look at if you're beyond a week, if you're 7, 8, 9 days out, which we are technically. Okay, looks like we're starting to fill up pretty good here. So again, it's one of the better setups that I'm seeing here. This is a look, and I'm going to explain all of this. This is a look at what we have going for this pattern. We have cross-polar flow. All right, that's key. A lot of times Arctic air, you get really high snow ratios. I mean, the true heavy, dense, thick Arctic air. It's called cross-polar flow. It literally comes right over the pole. You get really high snow ratios, sometimes 20 to 1, sometimes 30 to 1. And what I mean by that is, on average, 1 inch of liquid is equivalent to 10 inches of snow. Well, the colder it gets, the higher that ratio gets. So let's say it's 30 degrees and your ratio is 10 to 1. But let's say the temperature is 25 degrees. Now maybe it's a 25 to 1. Let's say it's 20 degrees. Now maybe you're 30 to 1. And now that same inch of liquid, now it's popping 30 inches of snow, whereas when the temperature was 30 degrees, maybe it was only popping 10. So Arctic air is really important. You got what's called a negative AO, Arctic oscillation. In other words, and I'm going to show you this, the mother load of cold air looks like it's going to drop down. Now, how far south it gets is still yet to be determined. I'm going to show you what some of the models are thinking. You've got a negative NAO, North Atlantic oscillation. And what that means is it's a big trough in the East Coast. Troughiness produces storminess. Okay, again, I'm going to show you all this. You got a positive PNA ridge. So think of a seesaw, okay? West Coast, East Coast. If your temperatures are up on the west, they're usually down in the east, and vice versa. All right, it's the seesaw effect. So the positive PNA puts the ridge or the warming out west, which allows all the cold to spill east. You really need that. There were so many times last winter. There was at least 2 or 3 instances where we had a decent storm signal for a snowstorm in the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, and that ridge wasn't there. And so what happened was it allowed the storm that came in from the west to cut west and put us in the warm sector as opposed to hitting the coast, then lifting north, wrapping the cold air in. You really need that, and we have it. You got a 50-50 low, which is going to pull that cold air, just drain it east of the Appalachians. That's important too. Historically, with this kind of a setup, somebody on the East Coast gets walloped with a snowstorm. It could be anywhere from the Carolinas all the way up to Maine. Okay, so historically, with this kind of a setup, somebody's getting blasted. And right now, the ETA on this, it looks like it's going to be a Monday event. So what I'll do here, there's three things that I want to talk about. The Florida citrus crop, we'll get into that first. And I'm going to show you some areas, even here in Florida, that just look mind-boggling cold for Florida standards, right? We'll talk about how expansive and how cold this Arctic blast is going to be, and then the snow threat, okay? And I don't have a ton of time here today because we're recording a couple, as you can see, I'm in the studio, we're recording a couple of things. I didn't know about it until when I came in today. So let's get into it. Let me see if I remember how to do this. And just want to say hi to all my Philly viewers. I know you guys are tuning in right now, and hope you guys had a Merry Christmas. Yes, I miss you guys too. You guys are wonderful. Hope you had a Merry Christmas. Hope you had a happy holiday season. Hope you guys stay safe tomorrow. There we go. And there we go. I was going to say, what the heck happened? Okay, so let's start you out here. Now, this is, if you're not familiar with it, this is the state of Florida. Okay, Panhandle. And this is the peninsula here. What you're looking at, all right, this is the European ensemble. This is temperatures at the surface. And this is what we call a temperature anomaly. Or in other words, what that means is we're taking the projected air temperatures during that 7-day stretch and we're stacking them up against what the seasonal averages are. And for here, in this case, you're looking at temperatures that are expected to be anywhere from looks like 10 to 15 degrees below average. Well, the average, to put it in perspective, the average high here in West Palm Beach is 74. You start dropping 10 to 15 degrees, you're likely having highs in the low 60s in West Palm. Where I am in Stewart, I'm probably in the upper 50s, low 60s at some point during the second week of January. Again, this is all assuming the mother lode of this cold comes in, which is being shown. So here's a look at, just to give you guys an example. Again, the normal high is 74. This is the town I live in, okay? This is Stewart in Florida. It's about a half hour north. Look at the projected highs. This is an ensemble. So in other words, what this is, you're taking an individual forecast model, European or GFS, and you're running it 50 times. And then you're taking the average of those runs. So to get these kind of cool numbers is insane. I mean, look at this. There's a 59 here. Look at some of the lows. Again, we are at almost the southernmost point of the country here. Miami is about an hour south of me right now, maybe an hour and 20, something like that. And look at these highs, okay? And I can do a couple of these, and I'm going to show you the pattern in just a second, but I want to have some fun. Here is, that's Philadelphia. I mean, look at the stretch. Look at this. Again, it's the target date is the second week of January. So pretty much from the 8th right through the 14th, your overnight lows in the city are actually in the teens. One of the coldest locations I found, get a load of this. You guys are going to crack up. We don't live here, so I can say that, right? This is International Falls in northern portions of Minnesota. Look at the highs. Holy smokes. 4, 2, -1, 1, 1, 8, 9, -2, 0. Look at the lows, -13, -12. This doesn't even take into account the wind. This is the actual air temperature. Another one I found, which was really, really good. Again, good because we don't live there. GFK. Hold on one second. Here it is. GFK. Sorry, I'm a one-man band, but this is Grand Forks, North Dakota. Look at the highs in yellow and the lows are in blue. That's how severe of an Arctic outbreak we're expecting here. I mean, it's brutal. So let me go down to Florida. This is how far south this thing goes, and this is why I'm a little worried about the citrus crop. So JAX is Jacksonville. Again, this is an ensemble. Look at the highs and the lows. Lows are in blue. We're dropping below freezing. Again, on an ensemble is very, very impressive, considering we're at least 10 days out. That's crazy. That is crazy. Here's a look at Orlando. Orlando's a little bit better, but again, it's an ensemble run. So the likelihood is there that these temperatures are going to be, at least 1 or 2 of these days are going to be sharply colder. I mean, for crying out loud, imagine if you're in Disney World and you got a high of 50. I don't want to do that. The low is 39. Actually, there's a 35. Let's do Tampa. Tampa's another one that's, VDF is Tampa. VDF. Look at all the days in the 50s. Imagine if you're going on vacation, second week of January to get away from it. 59, 58, 58, 57, 51, 55. Oh my gosh. Really, really cold. And then one more. I know Chicago's really popular, so let's do Chicago. Oh, man. That's insane. Look at that. Now, when I was, for those of you that don't know, and I'm going to show you the pattern here in just a second. I used to forecast in Chicago. I was out there for almost 3 years. We had I want to say it was a 72-hour stretch where the actual temperature never broke zero. We stayed below zero for like 70 or 72 straight hours. It was nuts. And we had wind chill values 20 to 40 below. This was back in, it was either the winter of 2008, 2009, or 2009, 2010. It was one of them, I can't remember, but it was insanely cold. This isn't that bad, but holy smokes, that's really, really, really cold. Woo! Okay, so what's going on? All right. Now, what you're looking at here, again, we're using ensembles. We're not using individual deterministic models because after 7 days, and we are 7 days and beyond, they're useless. There's no skill set in an individual model 7 days and beyond. There just isn't. So if you start seeing people pop these ridiculous snowfall total maps and it's not until 7, 8, 9, 10 days away, don't even bother wasting your time looking at it because it's not going to verify. So what you're looking at here, this is what we call the, it's 500 millibars. All right. It's the upper level steering winds. What you have to remember, okay, and you learn this in school. And I tried to, when I was in Philadelphia, I tried to teach this to my viewers. The forecasting cone, okay? You start in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and then like a cone, you work your way down to the surface. Or in other words, it's what's happening aloft, which determines what's going on at the surface. So you always want to start aloft. Okay, what you're looking at here, now this is a trough, okay, or an area of a deep low pressure. There's definitely some cold here and some storminess. That is the polar vortex. Watch what happens. So here's the United States, okay, just for reference. Philly's right there. West Palm Beach is right here. This is Florida. All right, so this is pretty much your jet stream right here, okay? North of the jet, cold. South of the jet, warm. And it is warm. Where I am right now, we had 82 today, believe it or not. So watch this. So this is the polar vortex, okay? On an ensemble, I set it in motion. You see how a piece of it starts dragging down? It starts breaking off and merging with the trough as the trough retrogrades. This is all bitter, cold air that's going to drop down, okay, right there, real quick. This is the Hudson Bay. So here's the Mid-Atlantic, the Great Lakes in the Northeast. Look how far the jet drops. It's all the way in Jacksonville and Orlando, Disney World. That's how far this thing is. This is the 9th, Thursday the 9th. Remember, it's the second ETA on this is the second week of January, the really bitter stuff. Look at this. I mean, it just stays there. There it is, the vortex, okay? So a piece of it broke off. The main batch is still there, okay? Now we're in the 10th, the 11th. Look at that vortex just sitting there. My gosh, if that thing ever decided to drop down, you ever see that, what was that movie, The Day After Tomorrow? Okay, so it wouldn't be that. You wouldn't walk outside and you start freezing like, you know, like they did in the movie. But if that thing ever dropped down, like the whole thing, let's just put it this way, you wouldn't want to be outside. It would be absolutely brutal. But there it is, all right, just sitting there. The trough is still in place. It tries to retreat a little bit by the 13th, but it's still holding its ground. I mean, look at this. It's still there by the 14th. And actually, it looks like it is dropping a little bit farther to the south. Here's another way you can look at it. Again, 2-meter temperature anomaly. What this means is, again, you're taking the high and the low and you're averaging it out and you're stacking it up against the average, okay? The seasonal average. Here's the cold right here. You see my, actually use my finger. This is all warm, cold. Philadelphia, Florida, Texas, to give you perspective. Watch what happens as I set it in motion. All right, so this is, well, let's go back real quick. This is the 0 to 7 day period, or in other words, today, right through the 5th of January. Okay, now a lot of this is front end warmth. Okay, so this is a little misleading, but watch what happens here. Look at the cold. All right, that's days 2 through 9. Now look at that. Just 2 days later, the whole East Coast, cold. Now the darker these colors are, the greens, to give you an idea. So the green is anywhere from 9 to 17 degrees below the average. You start getting into the purples, you're more than 20 degrees below the seasonal average. Look at this. Holy smokes. I'm going to keep going. Boom. Look at this thing. Boom. Boom. Dang. That's the 6 to 13 days. So that is this Saturday. Yes, Saturday through the 5th through Saturday the 12th. This is a 7-day ensemble. Look at this. Look at the bullseye in the heartland. Whew. Look at this. Wow. I mean, you saw, remember, we showed you this already. I mean, that is just brutal. That's what you're showing. That's what I'm showing right there. That's the 9 to 16. Look at Florida, for crying out loud. I mean, Miami's right here. The average high in Miami, I think, is 78, and you're anywhere from 10 to maybe 17 degrees colder than average. Whew. Boy, that is brutal. And then it's just sitting there. That's the 11 to 18. That's the 12 to 19. Day 13 to 20. Now we're up to the 19th of January. Look at this. It's still there. So what I think is going to happen here is, and now we're at the 23rd, 24th, 25th. So it looks like there's a lot there that suggests that this could be a lot more than just a, if you remember last year, I remember last year we had two, I know it was a really, really warm winter in the mid-Atlantic, but we had two really good cold shots, and one of them hit right before Christmas. I remember it was so cold, it only lasted a day though, but it was so cold that Mount Washington actually was in the stratosphere for like 6 hours. That's how deep the heights, that's how far they dropped in the atmosphere. I'm wondering as the vortex drops in here, we might see a similar situation. The thing with last year, there was no block here, okay? So the cold shots that came in, they were in and out in the span of 2 or 3 days. There's blocking here now. Or in other words, I mean, it's a roadblock in the atmosphere. Everything moves like this across the country, or like this. But everything, it starts here in the west, and it eventually ends up here, and it'll travel across the northern hemisphere. You put a roadblock here, and now all of a sudden the cold air that comes in behind it can't escape. So there's a possibility that this could be, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be milder days than others. But overall, this could be a 2-week cold blast. I mean, a really good 2-week cold blast. All right, so let me go to the Arctic oscillation, okay? This is what I was talking about earlier. Here's the even line, okay? Anything in the negative allows the Arctic air to move away from the pole and drop down into the eastern half of the United States or the Midwest. The deeper the number is in negative, the colder it should get. We're in between -3 and -4. That's really, really impressive. Now, if it was positive, that would mean that the winds around the polar jet are really fast, and you're not going to get any cold air dislodged from the pole. So you can see, it's all in negative, okay? And it's in negative for a while. I mean, this is going right through, it's at least through the 15th there, 13th, 14th, something like that. The other thing was the North Atlantic oscillation. You need this in the negative for a snowstorm. There it is. It's all negative. Negative East Coast snowstorm, I do want to specify. All right, remember the PNA, I was talking about the ridge. You need it positive. That sets the ridge up in the West Coast. It's positive. Look, the whole thing is positive. Okay, all the signals are there. All right, so let me show you how you look at a map, okay? And then I'll get into snow specifics and things like this. Okay, remember that PNA, you need a positive. See how you got the ridge here? Up, remember we were talking about the seesaw effect? Up, down, cold, warm. So out west, while we're shivering in the eastern half of the United States, they're enjoying, I don't know if it's sunshine, but they're enjoying very mild temperatures out here. Ridge goes all the way up into Alaska. allows the polar air up here to drop right through Canada and down into the eastern half of the United States. Now, this can't escape because voila, you got your block right there. Okay, now what I want to show you is before we get into the snow, okay, there's a couple of ways I would say I see about a 80% chance of an East Coast snowstorm. There is a couple of ways this can miss though, okay? Now, I remember last year when we had snow threats in the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, we needed everything to come together. I mean, you probably heard me on the air multiple times saying, we got to thread the needle, to get this, or everything has to come together just right to get this. It's not the case with this. You've got at least 4 or 5 things in place that even if everything wasn't perfect, they should get you there. They should get you to a snowstorm. So, but here's one of the ways, okay, where this could fall apart and the East Coast just gets cold and not snow. All right, so see this blue line again, that's your jet stream. Ridge, okay, warm, see it here, that's your positive P&A. Boom, coming down. There's your trough, your negative NAO. Okay, bam, that's all storminess and cold. Right here, okay, this is your block. Now what you need is what's called a western-based negative NAO. This concerns me, okay? Concerns me that I love snow and cold. So when I say that, I mean, it concerns me that we won't get snow and cold if this happens, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind as I'm talking here. If you're a snow lover, this is a little concerning, okay? This is an eastern-based negative NAO. This thing needs to be over here a little bit more. Why is that significant? Because if it's here, okay, then you get a storm that's able to cut west of Philadelphia, and that'll drive warmer air in. I'm going to show you that in a second. If this is an eastern base and it's here and it's going through the Hudson Bay, you see it's not really on the Hudson Bay here. If this is going like this and you've got higher heights on the Hudson Bay, now the storm tries to cut and it can't. It runs into the block and you get a Miller B, or in other words, a second low developing here, and that comes up. And then you get tremendous amounts of snow. So that's a way that this could fall apart, where the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, maybe you get some snow. I mean, look, I still think you could get snow with it. But instead of getting walloped, instead of getting a foot plus, maybe you get a few inches, okay? This needs to be about right here, okay? So it's not missing by much, but this needs to be here to prevent the low from cutting, okay? That needs to be here. All right, so let me show you, and there's, like I said, we're 7 days out. There's plenty of time for that to happen. Okay, so here, now, we're not in an ensemble. This is an individual deterministic run. Okay, blue is snow, that pinkish whatever is ice, and then the green obviously is rain. So this is the 12Z, or this is the run that updated this morning. Now watch what happens. I'm going to set it in motion. All right, here it comes. Here's Florida. Okay, this is your front trailing. So this front is going to get all the way through Florida. Okay, we're going to get the cold. Remember, this is this Sunday and into next week. Here's the Mid-Atlantic, the Philadelphia area here. There's Maine, Great Lakes. Okay, so watch this. Here it comes. Low. Here it comes. It's going to try to cut. See it? Okay, so you start as snow. It tries to cut. See it trying to cut? See it right here? Remember, that low comes up. You start as snow, and then the warm air takes over, and you change over to ice and rain. But then watch this. Boom. See what happened? The low tried to cut, it hits the block, okay? And then the secondary develops off the coast. You trap the cold air in, you lock it in. Let me go back, okay? Here's the primary low right here. It's running like this. It then hits the block right here, and it can't go anywhere. So it transfers its energy to a coastal low off the Virginia Capes. Boom. And now you stay snow. That's how you do it. Okay, you need the block again. This needs to be here, and you get the Miller B transfer that you just saw here, where the primary can't cut, and it transfers its energy to the secondary, and then that one takes over. You lock in the cold, and you get a snowstorm, a good old-fashioned snowstorm. Also, look at the front. Look at how far south. That's West Palm Beach. This is all really cold air, relative. Everything's relative. Remember, the normal high here in West Palm is 74. This is probably going to put highs in the upper 50s, low 60s, that front. That is a big, big front. So if it's that chilly here, you can imagine what it's going to be like up here. Okay, now I'm going to show you another scenario. All right, now the blocking isn't as prevalent. Okay, look at how far west and north this low is. That's the primary. Now watch what it does. Okay, here's the Philadelphia area and the coastal plain. Notice we're already starting to mix over. Here comes the secondary, primary, secondary. See it? But look at the rain now. Now it's in Philly. Now it's in South Jersey. See the rain snow line? Look at how far north it lifts. Now it's up into Trenton. And areas just west of Philly are probably turning to ice and mix, snow for the far western counties. Okay? See that now you will change over to snow on the back side, but you can't stay all snow. All right, so again, this is the only way that this could fall apart is if it becomes an eastern base negative NAO. It needs to be over here. You put it over there, this is a perfect setup and you're getting a snowstorm. Okay, so those are two possible scenarios. All right, so I'm not going to show you individual model runs because, again, we're 7 days out and those snow totals aren't going to verify anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the ensembles. So in other words, what they do is they take this model, which is a European, and they run it 50 times. And what you do is you take the blend. So each one of these is a possible solution on the European model. All right? New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Philly's right about there. That's not a big hit. That's not a big hit. That's not a big hit. Look at the secondary. It's too far off the coast. You see how there's all these different solutions? This is what you need to look at because we're just too far out. We break 5 days, 6 days, something like that. Then I start looking at individual runs. This isn't a big hit. That one's a decent hit. Okay, anything in pink is 9, 10 inches and higher. So that's a decent hit. That's not a big hit. Nope, that's not a big hit. Nope, 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 nope. Not a big hit there. That's a decent one for South Jersey. 9, 10 inches there. Nope, just a few inches, 2 or 3 inches. Nope, 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 nope. That one's not bad. It's Western counties though. That one's not bad either. That one's just a few inches. Okay, so that's 25. Let's do 26 through 50. Hold on one second. It just, let me fast forward. Okay. No, yes. That's jackpot right there if you're a snow lover. That's a good one. No, that's a good one too. That's 7 to 10 inches. That's 3 or 4. That's not bad. No, yes. That's a good one. No, 2 to 3. That's not bad for South Jersey and Delaware. That's probably 8 to 10. No, decent in South Jersey. No, decent north and west. Actually, that's great north and west. That's 10 plus. No, no, no. That's a good one. No, that's a good one, but mainly north and west. South and east, it's changing the rain. No, 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 no. That's a good one there. Okay? So you see what's going on? You got to do it that way because if you take the model that has run right now, you're 7 days out. Well, let's say it chose to show us this one. Okay, well, what if that one hits? What if that one hits? What if that one hits? What if that one's hit? We're just too far. So you look at the ensembles. And the ensembles are showing that there's a decent probability of getting some pretty good snow in the mid-Atlantic out of this system. Real quick, I want to show you Miller B, okay, and Miller A, because I mentioned this quite a bit. This doesn't really, the Miller A is impactful in Florida, okay? You can get some pretty good squall lines with the Miller A when it blows through and a nasty round of severe weather. What the Miller A is, it's one storm in the Gulf of Mexico and it comes right up the East Coast. The blizzard of '96 was a Miller A, one of the best Miller A's in history. I believe you had a March snowstorm. What was it, 93? I think it was 93. March 93 was a Miller A. Come running right up the coast, dropping just ridiculous amounts of snow. Okay, so that's the Miller A. The Miller B, right here, main low, and it could be coming in like this, it could be coming in like this, but this is just an example. Main low transfers its energy to a coastal low. Coastal low takes the ball and goes running up the coast. You lock in the cold air. That is likely what this one's going to be, okay? So the low primary comes in like this. It's going to try to cut. Does it hit the block? If it hits the block, secondary forms, comes up, you lock the cold air in. If this low comes up and it's too far east the block, it's going to cut. And you're going to start as snow and change over to rain or change over to ice. In other words, you won't stay snow the entire time in Philly and areas south. This one, the only thing you tend to get with this one in Florida, you'll get some really good wave action depending on how deep this low gets. You might get some really good waves kicking back, rough seas, risk of rip currents, things like that. But really, it's the Miller A that's most impactful for Florida with the nasty squall lines, tornado threat, straight line wind damage threat. Yes, even in January, you can get that. Let's see. Oh, real quick, get a load of this, because I know you guys are shivering up north. Here's a look at the highs today. This is where I am, right here, 82 degrees. West Palm Beach is right here, I believe. Loxahatchee, no, it's right there. 83, that's Lake Okeechobee. They took me, what were we doing? The airboats. They took me out on the water here, and we got to see the lake. When I tell you it's a mini ocean, it is huge, huge. It was really, really neat. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer some questions here. That's it in a nutshell, okay? So basically, we have the pieces are there. I mean, there's a lot to the puzzle that's in place, okay? The biggest determining factor here with this is going to be that negative NAO. Is it east base or west base? If it's west base, you guys are going to get probably at least 8 inches of snow. If it's a west base block, you're getting hammered. If it's an east base block, then you're probably starting as snow, and you may get several inches. You may get 4 or 5, but then you're going to change over to ice, and then some areas, south and east, probably changing over to rain. So we'll see, but it looks really, really promising. One thing is for certain, everybody gets the cold. Everybody gets the really cold air behind this thing. Okay, so let me wow, we got a lot of questions. Okay, good, because I want to answer some of these. I hope I explained all this well. By the way, I'm going to do another one of these Thursday. Okay, so Thursday around 7:45 again, because at that point we're going to be closer. All right, we're 7 to 8 days out right now. You know, what are we, 5 to 6 at that point, or 4 to 5 at that point? So then I will use individual model runs. Okay, but I'll do another one of these Thursday. I just saw someone say, when will you know? Thursday is when I'm going to start using individual model runs. Okay, let's answer a couple of questions. I hope I explained all of that well. I know it's a lot to digest. But I figure what I'm going to, I told you guys I was going to do a lot of these this winter. And so every time I do one of these, I'm going to use the tools that I just showed you. And hopefully that way you get more familiar with it. And, after about a month or whatever, I pop something up there and boom, you know immediately what it is. You know what I mean? Just got to make you a little more familiar with it. Oh, real quick, here was something before I get into the questions. This was another round. Thank you. What time are we recording? 8:30. 8:30. Okay, thank you. Okay, so here's the polar vortex right here. See it? You see it better with how this thing drops down. You see the piece breaking off right there? Right there, watch it drop. Here it comes. See it drop? See it? You can really see it well here, breaking off and drop. Wham, wham, right there. Look at that thing hit into the United States. That's all chilly weather, cold weather, as far south as Florida. Now, the funny thing is, the heart of the vortex is right here. Okay, so just a piece of it. See it over the top there? Just a piece of this thing breaks off. With how cold it's looking, can you imagine if that whole thing dropped down? Oh my gosh. You'd be wearing 10 layers out the door up there. Okay, let's see. I miss you guys too. Greetings, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you guys too. I hope you had a great year. I hope the 2025 is a great year too. I bet you don't miss this. No, Kim. Let me tell you something. This is Kim Moore. She says, I bet you don't miss the snow. I love the snow. I love the cold. And I'm going to be, if you guys get a foot of snow or more Monday, I'm going to be very upset. And as a matter of fact, I'm probably going to fly home that weekend just to see it. We get, people down here, they're called, where what do they call, not snow geese, snowbirds. They call them snowbirds. There's a lot of people that live down here that are from the Mid-Atlantic, New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, D.C., and they come down for 3 or 4 months because, they don't want the snow and they don't want the cold, and they have really nice homes down here, and whereas they're freezing up north, and what what you're about to get next week, here it's 60s and 70s most of the time. Today we were in the 80s. So there's a lot of people that are familiar with the weather up there in the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast that live down here. They know it all too well, and that's the reason why they're down here. Me? I'm still hoping that we get a few snowflakes down here one day, maybe just a few flurries, but it is what it is. Let's see. Havertown. Okay, I don't have too many questions. It's just a lot of hellos and I miss you guys too. Hi. Happy New Year. Let's see. Let's get a good question. Maybe I can answer it. Hi from Maple Glen. Where's Maple Glen? Geez, I thought I knew everywhere up there. That is Deborah. Deborah, how you doing? Happy New Year to you. Is Monday, January 6th going to be, so that is K. K, that's what we were looking at. The ETA on this potential storm is going to be Monday. So is that the 6th? I think it is. Let me check. Where is it is, yep, it's Monday the 6th. And it would look like an all-day event. Whether or not it's snow changing to a mix and then rain, or snow changing to ice and then back to snow, who knows right now? But yes, it would be Monday the 6th. Let's see. Abington here. I said this. This is Pat Moore. Pat says, hi, Chris. Abington here. We miss you. Interesting. You move south, and we finally get the snow. So this was the funny thing. When Lori and I, we hadn't announced that we were taking this job yet and that we were moving south. And then when we finally broke the news, and then the news went public, I said, watch what happens. We haven't had a good snowstorm up there in like 3 years, maybe long. It might have been 4 years. I mean, I can't even remember. I think it was 2018 or 2019 was the last time the Philadelphia area got a good snow, like, the kind where some areas are double digits. I mean, maybe off the top of my head, I'm just not remembering something, but it's been years. I said to my wife, I said, watch, the second we move down here, wham, you guys are going to get just bombarded this winter. And you can thank me. If you're a snow lover, you can thank me, because if I wouldn't have moved down here, it wouldn't snow up there. Because that's my luck. Let's see. Just remember, Gray Hall, if you're listening, you're going to be shoveling, buddy. I know how much he loves the snow. Let's see. Okay, I think that's it for the questions. All right. Okay, so Flo, hi Flo, says here in Florida, previously PA, what a totally different experience. Oh yes, it is. So my wife and I, we've been gone for like the last 10 days. We went to Disney World for 3, and then we flew back home into South Jersey for Christmas, and it just was great. We went out to dinner, saw the family, went out to dinner a bunch of times, even did a couple breakfasts. The first 2 days up there, it was freezing. I mean, the highs were like, or the lows were in like the low 20s or something, or upper teens, and I was like, wow. And it was cold, but it was funny because I didn't have a coat on. I'm walking around, I was that guy with no coat on when the high was like 27 or something, or 26. And I was fine. I mean, it was cold. I didn't stay out there for an hour with no coat on, but it didn't hit me as hard as I thought. Maybe I just haven't been living down here long enough yet. I've only been down here for 2.5 months. So maybe I just haven't been here long enough. But I thought I was going to be colder, and I wasn't. But I will say this. The second we flew back last night and I got off the plane and went outside, oh, the tropical humidity. You could feel it immediately. Dew points were like mid-70s. The temps were still in the 70s, I think. And I was just like, oh, my gosh. So, yeah, the humidity is tough down here. But, you take the good with the bad. There's a saying. What's the saying? Goes, when you pray for rain, you got to deal with the mud, too. That was on a movie from Denzel Washington. I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, I mean, look, the weather here is sure. You got to deal with the humidity. But every day this time of the year is sunny. And like 68 to 80, somewhere in that ballpark. I mean, it's beautiful. So, And the reason that's important is because every day, I mean, think about it. When it's 10 degrees up there or 20 degrees, you don't even want to go outside. Here, every day you can go outside if you want. Spend all day outside. I mean, that's how nice it is. So, you take the good with the bad. I am going to miss the snow, though, if you guys get a good storm. Let's see. Hope you are enjoying your weekends off, Joe says. I am. We've been doing a lot down here on weekends. We've been discovering the area. Palm Beach Island. Wow. If you ever get a chance, come down and visit it. You will see nothing but $10 to $50 million homes lined up along the waterfront. Beautiful stores, famous people. I mean, it's really neat. The money down here is just incredible. There's restaurants on top of roofs, and the whole thing is outside. And you're eating outside 8 floors up, overlooking the yachts, overlooking the mansions. I mean, it's just really, really neat. We're going to be, in a couple weeks, we're having brunch at the Breakers. Just a lot of really neat things down here. We've been everywhere from Hutchinson Island to Delray Beach to Boynton Beach to West Palm Beach, everything. Lori and I the plan of attack when we got down here was, every weekend, do something. Get out and explore, get out and see this, get out and do that. And we have, and we've been having a lot of fun. Paige's been having a lot of fun. It's been good. Okay. So not a lot of questions yet. I hope you guys understand everything, what I said. I don't want to get into individual model runs yet. We're too far out, okay? I took some notes, okay? So if you see any kind of ridiculous snow map right now that shows a foot of snow, 2 foot of snow, don't even look at it. Don't even look at it, because it's an individual run, okay? It's not going to verify, and if it does, it would be 1 in 100, okay? I mean, look, even a clock is right twice a day, right? That's what they say. So, I mean, sure, there's a chance, but 6, 7, 8 days out, no way. No way. You got to use the ensembles. There's no skill set in a forecast 7 days out or more, okay? You can recognize a pattern, okay? And I'm recognizing that the pattern's going to get brutal, but you can't really get into specifics on a forecast yet, okay? Again, we get into day 5, day 6, yeah, then we start getting into it. And so what I'm going to do here is on Thursday, we're going to do another one of these. And Thursday, I will show individual model runs and possible accumulations for you guys. And then for the folks down here in Florida, I'll show individual model runs, how low it could potentially get, how long we could potentially stay below freezing in some of these areas, and whether or not that's going to be a threat to the citrus crop. So I got to go record something real quick. You guys take care. 7:45 on Thursday, and we'll do this all over again, okay? See you then. Well, be safe, okay? Tomorrow night. Enjoy the new year. Be safe, okay? Bye-bye.